Hey guys, Jesse here. Welcome back to my brand new YouTube channel. This episode will be me discussing the books that I own because I feel like the best way to get to know someone is to learn about what they read. And I have an eclectic mix of books that I enjoy reading, fantasy and nonfiction, as you can see. And so I will kind of explain the books I like and why I like them, and hopefully you get some ideas on future books you want to read. So I'll probably start with fiction over here. The series of unfortunate events. I bought these. Well, I didn't buy them, but when I was a kid, I think my mom bought me the first book in the series, which is A Bad Beginning, and I fell in love with them. They're very much dark humor. They're for kids. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of them by now. There's a Netflix series now, a series of unfortunate events by Lemony Snicket. It's an awesome show. I definitely recommend it. It's very theatrical and tongue-in-cheek, dark humor. I love all those things. I have a very macabre sense of humor, so I feel right at home when I read these books. And there's 13 in all. And there's also a movie from 2004. Jim Carrey plays the main villain, Count Olaf. Neil Patrick Harris plays the same character in the Netflix series, which I think they both do an equal and brilliant job. I can't really pick who I like more, Jim Carrey or Neil Patrick Harris. But give me your thoughts on the series. If you like these books, what do you think of the new Netflix series, and what you think of Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf? I love the series. I can't wait for season 3. Season 2 ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. Wink, wink. But yeah, these books, awesome. There's 13 in all, and they're not very difficult to read, which when you're a kid you love, but when you're an adult, you can obviously finish one of these books every day. They're not hard to read at all, and the print and the font is very large. So there's those books. And I will continue on with the Chronicles of Narnia, which is the first major fantasy series that I think I read when I was a kid. The first one I read, like most people, were was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And yeah, I got addicted. These books have been around forever, and they're something I feel like most kids do read. I don't know if a lot of kids read them nowadays, but this was the It fantasy series before Harry Potter. And, there's nothing to recommend. I mean, I do recommend them, but it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you're a kid, you will love these books. And my new fascination is... This is my new Harry Potter, Game of Thrones. I was obsessed with Harry Potter when I was a teenager during the big Harry Potter hype when all the books were being released. I went to the midnight release of The Half-Blood Prince. And I would have had the books in my collection right here in front of you, but I actually sold them because I didn't like the covers. I want to buy the new set that came out. I really enjoy those covers much more. So, for very selfish reasons, I got rid of my Harry Potter books because of the covers. But I will be buying them again soon, because I want to read them again. I haven't read them in a long time. And, so yeah, Game of Thrones, my new addiction. I love Game of Thrones. I love the TV show. I actually watched the TV show first before watching or reading the books. And my sister turned me on to the books. A friend of mine turned me on to the show. And I actually haven't finished reading the books yet. There's 5 in all. There's supposed to be 7. George R.R. Martin is working on the last 2, but God only knows when those are going to come out. If they will ever come out. He has a reputation for being a very slow writer, and he takes years to write a book, which is not a horrible thing. Obviously, he takes lots of dedication into his writing, and it shows the love and craft in his stories. I just hate waiting, man. I want the books. But, yeah, I started reading the fourth book. The first three were awesome, and I wasn't really into the fourth book, so I kind of gave up. But I do want to start reading it again because of the fifth book, which I want to read, A Dance with Dragons. So I want to pick up the series again. The first three are awesome. I can't really voice an opinion on the last two yet, because I haven't read them cover to cover. I do have the Blu-rays as well for Game of Thrones, which I've watched 3 times. They're behind me, but I won't pull them out or anything. And the Brothers Grimm. And by the way, I buy all my books off of Amazon. I don't buy them from bookstores. They're just a lot cheaper on Amazon. I'll probably do a video where I bring you guys book shopping with me. I probably won't buy anything. I might buy something. But I'll kind of point out the books that I like, the ones I don't own, and which books I am interested in the future. A Brothers Grimm. I've never read a Brothers Grimm story before picking up this book. And I didn't realize how many books, or how many, I should say, stories the Brothers Grimm have written. So many. I don't exactly know the number, but it feels like 100. So yeah, and this version is the bicentennial edition, and there's an editor who kind of goes story by story, and she kind of points out all the symbolism and the you know, it's essentially, you know, she does what you would do in an English literature university class. You kind of point out all the, you know, references and all the deeper meanings behind the words and the characters and the situations. That's kind of what she does, which was interesting in the beginning, but I pretty much skipped that over now, and I just read the stories on their own. Definitely recommend this for anyone who loves dark humor. Very witty stories. Very funny. And now I'll move on to my nonfiction books, which I was never interested in years ago. But now I'm very interested in leadership and business and spirituality. And that is why I started picking up these books. The Secret. I watched the Netflix documentary. It's not a Netflix original. It came out years ago. But it's on Netflix. And I was a changed man after watching that and reading the book. I know Oprah was preaching about it 10 years ago. Essentially the law of attraction. And essentially whatever we think becomes a reality. And that has been my religion for the last year, and unknowingly I've been using The Secret in my life and the law of attraction years before even watching the Netflix documentary or reading the book. And kind of a branch off of, or an extension off of The Secret is A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, which I just started reading. Again, this came out 10 years ago. And it's Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. And I recommend this book to anyone, young, old. It really does awaken you, and it brings a lot of things to the surface, and it puts a lot of things into perspective. Probably one of the best books I have ever written, best nonfiction or fiction book that I've ever read. And I'm not even done it yet, I'm only 1/3 done. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which is so funny. It's by Mark Manson. I'm horrible with names. But yeah, it's essentially not caring about the little things in life, and just kind of not giving a fuck. I don't know how else to explain it. It's really funny. I think he's a blogger, I believe. Jordan Belfort, The Way of the Wolf. The guy who wrote The Wolf of Wall Street, which the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio is amazing. It's so crude. I love it. So funny. Again, a very informative guy, a very knowledgeable businessman. Straight Line Selling. So for anyone who does sell for a living or is in retail, very helpful book. You do learn a lot. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. My mom turned me on to this book. I was actually going to buy it, but she had it. This one is actually from the 90s. You can tell it's from the 90s. And yeah, I plan on reading this one after I'm done reading A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. And then I have Start With Why by, again, I'm horrible with names, Simon Sinek. He has a TED Talk, I believe. I think it's a TED Talk. And he decided to write a book. This is not his first book. He wrote another one before this, Start With Why. I forget what it's called, though. I don't know. But again, a very insightful book. It's about leadership, how to become a better leader. Grit was turned on to me by my district manager at the time, and I had no intention of reading this, but my coworker was reading it, and she was saying good things, so I decided to pick it up, and I love it. I love it. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. This book can be read by anyone who's an aspiring anything, not just in business or an entrepreneur, whether you're an aspiring athlete or musician or whatever it is. It's about grit and determination, and anyone can benefit from this book. I love it. Creativity Inc. The president and president of Pixar Animation, Ed Catmull. Anyone who loves Disney or Pixar, I mean, who doesn't? Really, come on. You will love this book. Very insightful into the Pixar life and how they go about their business and leadership, and what how they kind of inspire and lead their employees. Very, very good book. Not just for anyone who's interested in business, but anyone, like I said, interested in Disney. And these two are biographies. Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the creator and founder of Nike. Now, it's a very good book, but I don't know how much of it is actually true. I imagine most of it is true, but I feel like a lot of it was dramatized and kind of made more dramatic than what actually happened for entertainment purposes, which is okay. And I imagine some of it was probably ghostwritten. I mean, I could be wrong. But nonetheless, it was a very, very good and sometimes funny book, and I enjoyed it. And my last one is one of my favorite books, Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. The founder of Apple, Steve Jobs. Anyone who loves Apple or has an iPhone, anyone who's interested, again, in business, leadership, entrepreneurship, this is a must-read. I love Steve Jobs. He's one of my icons, and he totally revolutionized not just the mobile industry, but obviously the computer industry and the music industry and the movie industry. He helped found Pixar, and he founded iTunes, and just the amount of work he's done. And if only he lived longer, I can only imagine what else he could have done. It's really sad because Apple is kind of falling apart right now, and I feel like they really need him, and hopefully Apple can kind of get their shit together, so we continue having good Apple products. I'm an Apple supporter, I love Apple, but I've been questioning Apple a lot, which sucks. Apple, get your shit together. Please, we need you. And yeah, so that is my collection. I will mention 4 very special books that I own that are very close to my heart. I'm a self-published author myself, and I wrote 4 books. You can't find them in bookstores. They're only available online, and I won't go much into detail. I will dedicate a video solely based on my books. But yeah, here they are. And it's very comforting and nice to say that I am an author, regardless if I'm self-published or traditionally published. It's a really nice feeling, and just knowing that what I'm holding in my hands is what I wrote. And they are fantasy, they are YA. So I will let you know more about them in another video I do this month, maybe next month. And kind of educate you on why I wrote these and what they're about. They are very close to my heart, and they're very personal. and I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. So I will leave it at that. I won't tell you the titles of them or anything. I will say that for the actual video. But again, these are my babies. But that is all I have. And I will be buying more books, obviously, so I will probably maybe do reviews. I do want to get more into fiction. Obviously, I've been reading a lot of nonfiction. I definitely want to read books, more classic books like Gone with the Wind. Animal Farm, which I read in school like everyone. A lot of people didn't like it. I did. But yeah, I will update. I can't talk. I will update you on that soon. Again, this is very new for me, talking in front of a camera. I have never done YouTube before, so hopefully I will get the gist of doing these videos soon. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next episode.